We are live, but the intro's not working.
So
Hello.
I
That's
wonder.
grand.
I wonder if we're live. People can see us now.
I don't know. I see the intro in the background, but it's like frozen.
Oh wow.
Hey, somebody hit us in the chat and let us know that we're going.
Where's Ryan?
Soapy. Yeah, right.
I don't know what's going
Soapy.
on. Okay. That's weird. It didn't work. It just showed an image. It didn't show the. Okay, well, I guess we're live. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hey, guys.
Oh, maybe I hit the wrong button.
No, well.
You know, my first day back to work, I'm so screwed up. Yeah, I think I hit the wrong button. So we're live.
Good.
Oh my God. We are here tonight to talk about Ryan, where are you? You wanted this topic.
I know.
Black-eyed kids and all kinds of there's cheese. What are you doing? Cheese and crackers.
Cheese and rice.
Okay. So black-eyed children. And I know, Max, like you're the aficionado on black-eyed children, right?
What?
Wow. What? I know some stuff.
Because you listen to this stuff all day long too. So
I do. Yeah. So I work by myself, and I have so much stupid stuff going on in my head. I have to listen to other things. And
do you work by yourself? Because you talk to me all day.
I know I talk to you all day long. I know. I bother you all day long. Sorry. We could change that, I guess. Anyway, so I listen to, most people listen to music. I listen to like ghost stories. I listen to Art Bell. I listen to all kinds of stuff. And I've heard a lot of stories about the black-eyed kids. And the most prevalent story of their beginning actually started in, I want to say, 1995 in Texas. And there was a newspaper journalist that had to go drop off his payment for his cable TV. And it was like 11:30 at night or something like that. And he actually was sitting there scratching out his check and was going to go drop it in the drop box. So he happened to look over and he saw these kids that were standing there. Hello.
Hi, Dory.
Hey, Dory. And he saw these two kids there. And they asked him if they could borrow some money to go see the movie. Now, the movie that was playing at that point was probably about 45 minutes in, and he didn't, and it was like an R-rated movie. And these kids were like between 8 and 10. And well, thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
I love you too, Dory.
The best. But anyhow, so every time I look in a mirror, there I am. Anyway, so these kids are looking at him and they asked him if they could borrow some money for the movie. And no, he wasn't going to lend them money. Well, can you take us home? And again, these kids are between like 8 and 10, 8 and 12. Predominantly black-eyed kids are usually between 6 and 12, 13, 14, the preteen. And they kept talking to him, and he had made up his mind that he's not going to help them out. They kept asking him, can we get into your car? Which is a key phrase because every one of these people, the black-eyed kids, they went in your car, they went in your house, they need to be invited in. And if you think back, who else needs to be invited in?
The vampire.
A vampire, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's earlier, Max, when I told you that's where I was going with this is this a twist on the vampire legend?
Right.
See, now again, I don't know because of all the stories that I did research on and all the things that I've done research on, is that these kids are they have to be invited in. And like I said, whether it's your house, your car, your campsite, whatever, they need to be invited in. So that would make sense that they would go down that vampire-ish road.
Mm.
And all the stories that I've read, and the legends that I've read and done my homework on, there's some pretty credible people that have stories about this. There's police officers, there's pilots that
But why do you think
and
they
I'm
didn't
thinking,
show up till 94? Hey,
well, see,
now
and that's
look,
the thing.
I grew up with pilots. They're
Well, they're kind of goofy anyway, right?
Ah,
But
great. Good to know.
there's a story of a pilot that landed his private little airplane on a quiet little strip, and these kids showed up and they said, "Hey, can you take us home?" And I'm thinking to myself, wow. So the entry aspect is probably one of the things that's their key element. Now I have the research that I did, and just from listening, and this kind of stuff interests me anyway. Um, I know a lot of useless information about stuff that nobody else wants to know. I'm your guy.
Cliffy Clavin.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I kill it at trivia nights. How much for a takedown in high school wrestling? 2 points. Anyway, collegiate is 3. But anyhow, freestyle. Anyway, see, I saw a squirrel. But so anyway, they have to talk about you have to give them entry to come into wherever you are that they went into. There was a police officer that was dark, and he was doing reports, and he said he looked over, and he's in the middle of nowhere, and he's got a good place that he does his reports on. And again, same thing. So a little girl walks up to his unit and says, "Hey, can I get in with you?" And he's like, "No, but these people always report that their hand is actually moving towards the door to let these people in, to let these kids in." And if you think about it, if they are vampires or if they are aliens or whatever, that they have to gain that entry. But if you're automatically doing it to help these out, I mean, what's the first thing you're going to do? Is you're going to want to have a kid. You're going to want to help a kid. You're going to want to, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're wearing a friggin' hoodie and shorts or long pants, when it's 10 degrees. So,
yeah, I think I was wondering also, because it wasn't the first sighting of these kids are like in Abilene, Texas, and it was around 94, 95, somewhere in there, right?
That was the guy that was writing the check.
Yeah, okay. So I'm wondering if there's a link to the black-eyed kids and any UFO activity that's going on.
And it's funny that you say that.
Okay.
Because there's another story, and there's a million stories. There was somebody that was working in their barn, and these black-eyed kids came up to him and said, "Can we come into your barn?" And they say pretty much random kind of stuff. "Hey, we were just wandering and we wanted to come in and say hi." So they say some pretty random things, and they always talk with their heads down. That's how they go talk to somebody. They talk to you with your heads down, right? And they have hoodies on. So, that's kind of creepy as well. And so when they make contact with folks, they're like, "Hey, how you doing? We were just wandering by and we wanted to say hi." And these people don't know these kids from Adam. And it's late at night. There's no stories about them coming up in the middle of the day. There's some afternoon stories, but there's no daytime. So, as you're getting afternoon, pre-evening, that kind of stuff. So this one person was working in their barn, And these two kids came up and they asked to come into their barn. And this person was like, no, no. And they said, well, where are your folks at? Well, they're coming down the road. And about that time, they said there was a black SUV that pulled up. And the black SUV pulls up, and the dogs, I guess, are just going friggin' bananas. So the kids turn around and they walk. They said they'll be here in just a minute. This black SUV pulls up, and the people that get out, what do they look like? They
Men
look
in
like the
Black.
Men in Black.
Yeah, I
They look
I
like
was
Men in
wondering
Black.
about that too. So there
So
was a
go ahead.
sighting. Is 2014 was the last sighting that I saw, but this one was England, and it was in a pub that had a sighting of them before, like years before. So I thought that
Interesting.
was really interesting, and it was a paranormal researcher and his daughter were walking around outside the pub or something like that when they heard a young girl crying, and they went to find her. They thought a young girl was hurt, and then they had this encounter with these kids, and they reported it. It really freaked them out because it's
Right.
not normal. They're not acting normal. They're not moving normally. There's something wrong.
Now they have said, and the one thing about these black-eyed kids is they show up in places that kids usually where are not going to be at, and they're not usually going to be times that these kids are out and about. So once this black SUV pulls up and the kids walk over to it, this man in black gets out, opens the door, puts the kids in the car in this SUV, and the farmer or whoever this person was that was telling this story looked down and looked back, and the car was gone.
Yeah.
So again,
weird.
great gas mileage,
Mhm.
but it just is kind of very interesting to me that kind of stuff happens. I know that they've had some reports of them being in Portland.
Mhm.
There was actually a report of the black-eyed kids coming in and getting into somebody's house, and they ended up. The lady got really sick, and her husband got really sick. And by the time they were able to figure out that these kids were bad to be in their house, they went looking for them, and these kids were gone. The lady, I know one of them, and I know Mudlover and I talked about it a little bit. I can't remember, was it the man or the woman that had some sort of cancer that neither one of them would have been around type stuff. Do you remember that?
I thought it was both. The story I read. They both ended up
Both of the
getting
people had
cancer.
cancer from the
They got
kids,
they
or
after the kids were in the house, so it's hard to say if it was from the
I
actual
see.
kids or if they
So
would have got it anyway, you know?
that was going to be my next question: was has anybody found anybody who's invited them in and lived?
Mm-mm.
So somehow
And
the
see,
kids.
that's the only, yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
only
only story.
one.
Now, again, there's no definite number, right, of the people that, we don't know that for true. We don't know that if these people went, we don't know because nobody's missing, right? So people have been getting sick, but nobody goes missing. There was actually another story where this woman was there in her house with her dogs, and she actually, I think the kids came to her while she was working in her rose room, rose building, flower, whatever, and they asked to come in, and she said, "Yeah, come on in," and then um, she went missing. So, and the only reason they can't say that the kids created that because there's they don't know if she went missing by herself, if that, so it's
How did they know that she
unfortunately
invited kids in if she's missing?
exactly. And that, like I said, that's just the story that I heard.
That sounds like
Um
yeah.
it could be, and who knows? This is all could be just an urban legend, right? Everybody just gets all fire-eyed at them, and oh well, you know what I heard. And back in the day, as we've talked about in the past, storytellers, and with the internet, right, you can do so much more research. And who knows? I think it's kind of interesting to kind of lump those in.
Well, these websites like Creepypasta and different sites, right?
Mm-hmm.
They make a lot of this stuff up. They make a lot of stuff up. And
Sure.
Slender Man, right? And then it came out for the movie. There were 2 12-year-old girls that killed their classmate because of that movie, because of that legend.
Wow.
For real. They 12-year-old girls.
Dang.
And
They lured her.
when
They lured her into a mausoleum and killed her. They lured her into something, into the woods or something. Yeah, the forest. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just rewatched the interrogation videos of these girls.
Wow.
Mhm.
These girls weren't right to begin with. You can tell that these girls weren't right. But this kind of stuff to a warped mind.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, I mean, it's kind of fun to dig into these topics, but man, a young impressionable mind on this kind of stuff, it can really screw with them. We have enough weirdness in the world that adding a fake. Now, I don't know if this is fake or not. I'm always suspect when it popped up in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's related to the Men in Black, that's really well documented.
Exactly. And you have to remember the Men in Black have been around since the 50s.
Yeah. At the height of the UFO activity. Like the height of now I looked up 94, like if I think this started in 94, I'm not sure, but there were 2 big UFO incidents that happened in 94, big ones. One was in Michigan with hundreds of people that have witnessed it. Hundreds of people witnessed the UFOs. I think it was Upper Peninsula, somewhere in Michigan. Lots and lots of UFOs going around. And it was, I don't know if it was one night or a series of nights, but then all the way across the globe, and I think it was in Zimbabwe, where there were like 300 school kids who saw the UFOs and described the aliens that came out of the ship. And it wasn't, so you got to wonder, okay, was this mass hysteria? Like one kid says it and they all say it, that kind of thing.
Right.
That mass hypnosis that can go on with people. But the kids were adamant. Like they saw it from different angles. This kid's at the playground, this kid's over here, hanging out somewhere doing something, and they see it from different angles coming in. So the way they're describing it from their point of view, not from, because I remember reading this Zimbabwe story before. I think it was Zimbabwe or Namibia, but I think it was Zimbabwe, that all of these kids described it from their viewpoint. So their stories differed a little bit, but it was the same overall theme of the UFOs coming down and seeing some kind of alien creatures. And they pretty much have the same description of the creatures.
Wow.
Again, little variations here and there. But
well, you're always going to get that, though.
300 kids, they all saw it. They were freaked out. Yeah, it would freak you out. So
heck yeah.
Those were the 2 big events that happened. So that's like spanning the globe, really, right? 2 different continents. And then you have these kids, and then you've had this SUV show up with the Men in Black.
Yeah.
I don't believe in coincidence. I think things are related.
Yeah.
Things they say, and Mud Lover says things happen for a reason. She's always said that kind of thing. And I like I said, I don't know. There was a story that my mom used to talk about years ago, and she said that one night she got up and there was a blue light over the top of their house, and she kind of stayed up and checked it out. Went outside and didn't really see anything that it was emanating from. So, like a week later, they went to a PTA meeting, and all these moms were talking back and forth. And friggin' these guys walked in, and my mom said these guys just walked in and said, "Hey, you know what? The blue light you saw, you didn't see anything." But again, that time, right when we had two things that were going on. Number one, everybody was very compliant. That's just the way it
When
was.
was this? When?
I'm sorry.
When was this?
Oh gosh, I don't even think I was around yet. So I'm going to say 60s, 70s, you know, or I was just a pup. And, like I said, so these guys came in and said, the blue lights, you didn't see anything. And my mom had talked to a couple other women and they said, yeah, heck yeah, we saw that. But there was a couple things that happened. Then, like I said, compliance, you didn't see anything. Okay. Well, my mom was not really the best compliant person in the world. And she told this story for years and years and years. And I kind of asked her at one time, I said, hey, look, did what would have happened if they came back? What do you think would have happened? And she said, there's no way to know that kind of thing. But yeah, that was her thing. They were
Yeah.
told you don't see anything. And there was basically just a couple kinds of people. There was the compliant people, there's that group think, right, that we've talked about in the past. And you talk about those 300 kids, you have 300 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-olds, whatever, and they're kind of saying the same thing. They're rounding it out to be the same thing. And in law enforcement, I can tell you, and you know this, anytime you get witnesses, you separate everybody because you don't want people to corroborate a story. Doc will tell you the same thing. You separate people. You don't let people come together, and that way they come up with one story. So if you have 300 kids that are just like whatever, yeah, I believe those kids 100%. But let me ask you this: how come they don't come to a more populated area?
Don't want to be seen.
I mean,
But
yeah, do they?
Their subjects have to be chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Rural, alone.
Right.
Abilene, if you've been to Abilene, there's a little town there, the city. It's not very big. I lived close to it. It's pretty small. So, and back then in the 90s, it was considerably smaller.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
and that's the thing. You're right. When we hear about, and we'll kind of deviate a little bit into UFOs, but clearly we see stuff over Idaho, Utah, Clearview, Utah, Skinwalker Ranch, whatever. But it seems like when they actually want to make contact with us, that there's not a lot of folks out. It's the middle of the friggin' night. There's a story about police township back east, and they're tracking this thing. And there's like 7 townships and a couple counties that this large ship flew over, and ATC is not picking it up.
right.
They call the tower, and the tower's like, no, we're not seeing anything. The guy actually goes out on the catwalk and looks around, and still is like, nah, I'm not seeing anything. Now, if he was full of crap or whatever, I don't know.
Well, we would have them called in when I was a controller. We'd have F-18s or C-130s or A-10s. We'd have all these different squadrons calling in UFO reports. And in the tower, you have a radar scope. So you have the radar unit and the tower unit. And it's different approaches, different equipment. But in the tower, you have what they call the brands. So it's concentric circles that go out like 20 miles, maybe 25 miles, right? Each ring is a 5-mile mark. So they call it the brands. It's the bright radar. How I used to know it by heart. Anyway, it looks like a radar scope. And all of our aircraft coming in and going through our airspace is right there. So I'm watching that because in the tower, you got to have eyes on, right? And so you're watching that and you're like, there's nothing there. And they're saying, There's something above our airplane. There's something below our airplane, something right alongside. And you're looking at this, call down to the radar unit and like, are you guys picking anything up on this guy? And they'll key in and they'll listen to the conversation. There was like negative. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
And those tapes, every time they'd pull those tapes, command, because we'd have to report the sighting. And then the next day, somebody would come in and pull the tapes. And no one ever spoke about them again.
Huh.
Yeah.
So,
See, so that's the thing. So, the stories that these kids, these black-eyed kids, have been in contact with the Men in Black. So, if you're thinking about it, if you want to go get intel, if you want to get some kind of information, as humans, especially as parents or aunts or uncles or whatever, when a kid comes up,
yeah.
hey man, what's going on, so
Well, they're
I don't know.
observing us. They know that the littlest ones of us are the ones that we're protecting.
Right, exactly.
So they're the ones that, right? They may not understand the intricacies of what's going on in a family unit, but they understand that the little ones, the little humans are the ones that we're gonna take in. So sending us kids, that's pretty smart because typically we would take them in. The thing is, their movements are off, their eyes are off, the jerkiness, the clothing, everything is off to the point where our human radar goes, whoa, that's not human.
Right.
You're not coming in.
Exactly.
Yes.
No. And there's another story that, as you're talking about kids, so some small state, whatever, that there's a mom cruising down the road and she's got her kid in the back seat, and she goes into a store to get some like milk and bread or whatever. And as she comes back to her car, her kid is sitting there and she can hear him talking to somebody. And she looks over and there's this black-eyed kid in the car with him.
That would freak you
And
out.
I mean, now think about getting in a car with somebody you don't know.
Nope.
Right? So
that's an Uber.
You're going to
that's
get in that car.
Uber.
Right.
No, thank you.
Right. So, but so the kid gets into this car and you think that they would just set into a seat. So imagine a compact car or whatever she was driving. We all know that kind of stuff. And, but anyhow, this kid, the black-eyed kid, it actually was setting flush with her son. And so she kind of freaks out. She calls her husband and she has her husband come over to the store and says something to the effect of, hey, look, I don't want this kid's in the car. I don't know who it is. The husband goes over and the black-eyed kid is gone. Right. So, but the female says, hey, look, I'm not driving my car home. I'm going to take your truck home. And me and the baby are going to go home in your truck. And the guy's like, okay, whatever. He's probably had a bad day or hard day, had to deal with Utah Highway Patrol jerks. But anyway, as that guy was such a jerk. But anyhow, as she takes off, okay, I'll see you at home, whatever. Her husband is driving her car home. And I guess he gets in a pretty horrendous accident on the way home.
Wow.
This is the car that the black-eyed kid was in. So is that something else? I mean,
there's almost a component of the banshee in here, in a way. So the Irish banshee, right, which comes to certain families in Ireland, and they foretell, they're an omen of death. Like if you hear the wail of the banshee, then someone in that family lineage is going to pass.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm wondering,
wow,
it would be interesting if you could actually get your hands on the people, the names of the people, right, who actually saw these kids, and if anything happened to them or a family member in the immediate future, an immediate time frame around the sighting.
Makes sense. I mean, that's quite a rabbit hole to go down. But this is my question: how come they're only black-eyed kids? Is that, I mean, they say that it's not the pupil, it's the whole eye that is black, right? It's the pupil, it's the iris, it's everything is black. So, but why do they have
Bye, Dory.
I was I was good night, Dory. Thank you. Um yeah, come on back. That'd be cool to talk about.
Yeah.
Um anyhow, so but why are they black-eyed kids? Why did they choose black? You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I think because the pupil, our pupils.
right?
So if you're think about they're trying to make an AI human, right? Back before we knew what all that meant. They have the technology. So if
Sure.
some alien technology is trying to copy our little people, our little kids, and they're like, oh yeah, they have the black part of their eye. They don't know what that is. They just make it bigger. I mean, they're doing a really crappy job of an AI child.
Yeah, but I mean, it, and like I said, it's just so funny because the stories and the stuff that I've worked on, they come at the most inopportune places at the most inopportune
Right.
time.
Because they don't
You
know
know,
humans. They don't understand humanity.
exactly,
They don't
Mhm.
understand
exactly.
they can you think about, I don't know, we know all of this stuff. Like in biology, we study lions and their natural habitat and all this stuff, right? But we really don't know what's going on with them.
Right.
We can't understand their thought process. They're a predator. We get that. I
Mhm.
mean, we we can observe them, but we can't communicate. They can't communicate with us. So they're doing their best at making a copy of a little child, because they see us interact with children and they're like, okay, well, this is what we do.
Sure.
So this is what the kids do. They ask for help because kids are
Mhm.
always asking us, watch me, help me, whatever.
Right.
But they can't get it right because they don't understand. They can't communicate with us. They don't get it 100%. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
almost like there's that glitch in the matrix and they just can't figure that part out yet. And maybe now
Yeah.
they have, and maybe now we can't tell that they're here
Oh
They're not
God.
now,
black-eyed kids anymore.
you know?
Mhm.
Right. Now they're just eating Tide Pods. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they still don't have that right. I'm just, you
Smoking
know,
spice. Um,
I just,
and that's the thing, and so what that would be kind of interesting because we haven't heard any recent stuff you said since 2012, 2013.
like somewhere
So
in
I
there
do
was in
know
England. Yeah. I was
um
trying to find that story. Da, 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 da.
So I came
Um,
across some interesting thing um related to eye color while researching the black-eyed children.
yeah.
And my son turned me on to some they're called white-eyed children. So I don't know if
I
you've
read
heard of
that too.
those. So the colors here were interesting. It says the 7 princes of hell have specific eye color according to their sin of representation. So pride is golden, lust is pink, wrath is crimson, gluttony is orange, envy is blue, greed is green, sloth is purple, and then we have the white-eyed demons are the demon chiefs of staff. Yellow-eyed
hmm,
demons are the demon army generals. Red eyes are deal makers, and black eyes are the soldiers, thugs, henchmen, and minions.
Wow, that's really interesting. Where did you find this
Yeah,
information? You need to send that to me so I can read it more
I
into it.
surely will.
That is really
Yeah,
interesting. So that takes it away from the whole UFO aspect and puts it into the realm of
right.
demonology, right?
yeah.
And that's the thing. I wonder, I mean demons even but demons are still trackable, for the most part. But I don't know, that's kind of an interesting
We need to have Mark on one night to talk about that.
Oh,
The people who,
yeah.
watch this episode, Mark is our demonologist, and he is very, very well schooled on demons and the realms and their names and who they, I mean, that's all he studied. So,
I
that's,
also, yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say I was also determined to find an incident before 1994 because, like, right? How did they just come in 94 or 5? So I did come across one. It looks like it was an article from a radio station, and the person telling the story grew up in Madrid, Spain, in the late 60s. And he remembers seeing similar black-eyed children, but he was a kid, so he just figured they had, like, maybe a vision impairment or a birth defect. And it wasn't until he got older that he realized that these strange children had reputations as devil children worldwide.
Oh, that's fascinating because, 94 pre-internet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just broke out.
Just right. Yeah. So it wasn't really, not everybody had it. And then you had that crappy dial-up that took 10 minutes to connect. And, oh my God, remember that?
Yeah.
The dog yelled like this every time the noise happened.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating. Demon children. That makes sense. And then they want in. Yeah. They want to need to be invited, right? Because that's the whole point about it doesn't happen to everybody. Because one of our good friends went through an exorcism. One of our friends that but I won't say it online until he says it online. Actually, he did say it online on one of the Thin Line episodes. So, Doc. So not every possessions, we usually think of possessions as wanting, you invite, like, I'll make you a deal. Help me out with this. I'll give you my soul. Or there's some sort of invitation, some sort of deal you've made for them to come in. Right. So be careful with deals. Right.
Right.
And, but not in every case, especially with children. A lot of possessions that have happened with children, they may not, how did that happen? They don't know the intricacies of making a deal. They don't know so if these things really are demons or they are doing the work of demon, I'd rather it be a vampire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really wouldn't stake through the heart. Done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Friggin' have the sun come up, keep them out, whatever.
Throw them out. Yeah. You're gone. Ashes.
Yeah.
Sweep it away. Done. But when you put things into the world of that amount of evilness, I mean, even though we're part of the paranormal clergy, we're supposed to be able to handle all this stuff. And we've seen some pretty weird, really nasty hauntings. And something that on the fire starter case, where there was something there in that house that was very, very dark and possessive. And that was as close as I want to get to that. I don't get afraid on any case that we go to. That one shook me just a hair. The one night, I think it was the third night we were there, and the drum circle, because something came into me, and it was Gina and Jerry, who was he was a Jesuit priest, monk, turned monk, kind of. He was, they saw it immediately. They said they saw something come over my face, change in my expression, change in my eyes. At the same time I felt like, oh, what's happening? And they were able to move it out as fast as it came in. That to me, because I don't like losing control. I'm not a person who takes things to lose control, like drugs, and I don't do that. I like to stay very much in control. And that freaked me out because I had no control over that situation. That was not an invitation. Nothing there was
Right.
invited.
Oof.
So it can happen.
See, and that's
Yeah.
and that's the thing. So taking a step back to the black-eyed kids, how do they choose who they're going to go talk to, right?
I
And
actually
it
found
seems.
something.
Oh,
Go
what?
ahead.
It says they begin by selecting a target. First, you have to be it says an adult. Are you kind? Do you look like a person whose heart would go out to a lost child and you would do whatever you could to help them find their way? So if it's
I
any of
think
those
that's
things,
most
they
of
say
us,
yes,
right?
Yeah, true.
Most adults are going to help a child. We just
Sure.
do. I
Yeah.
mean, even when I was 20 years old, couldn't stand the little urchins, I'd help them. If there was a kid crying in the store, I'm like, can I find your mom for you? I didn't want it to touch me. I don't know. I thought kids were diseased or something. I was evil back then. I was like, get that kid away from me. But anyway,
Just then, you were evil then.
I've changed the form of evil that I am. Now I would help a child. You know what I mean? Now it's like, oh, you poor thing, and I'd help them. But
You'd help a dog before you'd help a kid.
So true
See,
story.
but that's the
I got
thing.
kicked. Ouch. Ow. My damn glasses catch my hair all the
Uh-oh.
time. I got kicked by a stallion
Ooh.
right here. And he just wham, he kicked me right in the head. He turned around, he kicked me in the head. Then when I was unconscious, he picked me up by the back of my neck, hence all my neck problems, and drug me around the arena while I was unconscious.
Wow.
And people found him attacking me, got me out of the arena. He
Wow.
killed the person, like 2 trainers after me, he killed. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. It was a whole thing.
Yikes.
But where was I going with that?
Don't know. It's a head
Dang
injury.
it. See, I got kicked in the head. Oh, okay. So I had all these stitches. And I wanted to go. Wait, I'm like, Juan, can you? I just want to go in the store and get a few things before we go home. And I just got the stitches in, and I'm not supposed to be walking around. I was so concussed, I didn't know who was who. I didn't even know that was my mom, really. I was like, I remember my memory started going that night. Like I started losing memory in chunks. And so I get into the store, and then she's kind of got me because, I'm going to argue with her. So she takes me in the store. I wanted to get Coke or Pepsi or something and go home. And this little kid walked up, and I have all these stitches, and I'm black and blue everywhere. And he just starts screaming, and I just wah! It was so bad. My mom's like, God, what happened to you? I was so bad.
Golly.
Now, I would never do that. But back then, I don't know.
Wow.
And it's funny that you say that because, kids don't know, right? Kids don't know. So that kind of would make sense. That story that I told about the kid letting the other kid in the car.
Yeah,
that was the only.
Like, come ride with me.
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Or was it brought in, or do you think it vaporized into the car, like all of a sudden appeared like Star Trek?
Well, yeah, I don't think it was the Star Trek act. I think it actually, because the lady was talking to her kid, and she said, "What happened?" And he said, he was sitting there, and he looked over, and this kid was sitting at the door. He said, "Can I come in?" And her son's like, "Well, why not? It's another kid for me to play with."
Yeah.
But she said that the first thing she noticed was that the black-eyed kid was up against her kid. Normally, like I said, you'd be sitting in the back of my truck, back of your car, whatever. You put there's room for 2 people. No, they said that this kid was up against her son.
That's creepy.
So yeah, that right, exactly. So
that's when you
and
stop
her
the car
son
and go,
was
yeah, you need to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the kid was like, he didn't, whatever. He's a 10-year-old boy, it's just somebody for him to play with.
Mhm.
And like I said, it was pretty interesting that when she turned around to make that phone call to her husband, that this kid, the black-eyed kid, was gone. So again, there's just so many. We don't know any of the after effects because we don't know who's let these people in, right? Or who's let these black-eyed kids in. So we do know that there's at least one story that I've heard where these people, and it was funny because for some weird reason the husband and the wife got sick and it was radiation poisoning, and neither one of them had actually worked in any kind of radioactive environments, so they got cancer by that. And they're saying it was the black-eyed kids that actually, I guess, they were radioactive and they got these people sick. But they do say, all these stories that I've heard say that animals just lose their minds around these black-eyed kids.
Mhm.
They just lose it now. And we all know that animals are a lot more sensitive to us, or to certain more things than we are, right? So I just imagining these dogs are just like, no, don't. And here we're like,
Mhm.
come here, let me help you with some chips. But
Yeah.
and it's one of those things. So I don't know. And then you go back, is it all BS? Yeah, it could be. Could be. It's a great
Yeah, I
story
don't
to
know.
tell.
It's
Yeah.
interesting how we love legends.
Oh,
We
heck yeah.
love legends and we love scary legends. We love scary, we want things to freak us out. It's weird. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Was this guy was this who I don't know. I wonder whatever happened to the guy who told the story to begin with in Abilene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, was
Exactly.
he just a great storyteller? I told you guys my dad made up
Yes.
everything. So, I mean, I remember one night it was a really bad storm and we didn't get a lot of lightning where I grew up. We didn't get big storms like that. And my mom was working and my dad was home with us and I was terrified. The thunder, it was just crashing all around. And so he gets me, he's like, come into bed. And he doesn't ever read a story. He makes up a story. So what does he make up that night? It was called Murder in the Hen House. It was a
Oh,
whole story about a golden egg that was, the whole thing, just to keep my mind off of what was going on until the storm eased up enough I could go to sleep. But
huh.
so there are people out there like him that just make up everything and they do it with such
Conviction.
panache, that you just hook, line, and sinker into it,
Yeah.
Heck
you
yeah.
know?
So this guy's name was Brian Bethel
Yeah,
from
that's great.
Abilene, Texas. And
Brian
there's
Bethel.
really,
Is there
and
anything
it's
on him
saying,
on the internet?
um, let's see. It
I don't.
says he is a journalist for USA Today. And see, that's the other thing too. It was kind of interesting that he is the guy that saw this stuff and he's a journalist.
Yeah, so you got to
So
wonder.
it could have been like your dad, making stuff up. Um, and I think growing up, this we want. You're right. We want to hear that stuff. You're out camping, and yeah, bring it on, and then all of a sudden it's like dark. It's just not funny.
So
It's
I
just,
No.
just
also
not funny,
see him on the city of Abilene's.
right? Directory.
He's the communications and marketing director. So this guy, he's really, really talented, and he's probably a very good yarn tailor. And so,
Sure.
is this true? Does he just love the fact that everybody that does any kind of paranormal podcast out there goes down the trail of black-eyed kids and he's sitting there laughing the whole time going, I made it up. It was a drunk moment. you know?
Yeah, but you know what though? If you think about that, two things. Number one, that guy's a heck of a storyteller. I mean,
Uh-huh.
and if people are just going to continue telling that story, and everybody's, you're going to tell a story. I'm going to tell a story. Mud Lover's going to tell a story. There's always going to be that little deviation. There's
Yes.
always the deviation. Well,
Yes.
Mud Lover not. She's pretty much straight laced. And then they came down the hall. No,
Oh, my
but
God.
it's
You need to smack them. You need to smack 'em.
Wow.
but the funny thing about it is, um, the funny thing about it is that how are these people just coming up with stuff? Because like I said, there's some pretty prevalent folks that are telling this story that happened to them.
Yeah,
So
Reddit's full of
are
them.
they?
My gosh.
Yeah. If they're
Well,
Are they all just full of beans, or I mean,
I
is
don't
this
know. I
really
think
something
people
that's
do
going
see
on?
stuff, but I think I think people are very, what's the term? Suggestive?
Stupid?
Mm.
No, like you
I
can
think
put a
you are
thought,
suggestive. You're absolutely right.
you can
You're
put a thought
absolutely
in
right.
someone's head and then they run with it.
Yeah.
Well, look at
And
Slender Man. Look at Slender Man. The same thing.
right,
Slender Man came from creepypasta.
right.
And then we went to a Halloween show a couple of years ago, and at this Halloween show, Slender Man was there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're creating something because like I said, we all want to. I can speak for Mud Lover and I. We love to look at stuff like that. We go to shows. We go to that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, we're not the best to do because, and I'm not trying to be cool. We just have, we've seen it. It doesn't startle us. You
Right,
anticipate that scare.
right.
Um, but they're inventing something. Slenderman, or what was the other one? Siren Head.
What?
You ever heard of Siren Head?
Oh, what has he got, an amber light in
Siren.
his
Yeah.
Siren Head. I wish I had an amber light.
head? See?
I had my amber lights on. But anyway, Siren Head actually, from what I remember, and I don't know if there's anybody in the audience right now, but Siren Head actually came from Silence of, isn't it Silence Hill? Silence Hill? Silent
Silent
Hill,
Hill.
right?
Silent Hill?
Silent
Okay,
Hill.
right.
Okay.
And there
I'm like,
was
Silence
supposed
of
to
the Lambs?
be a
Okay.
creature in there called Siren Head.
Oh,
Hmm.
see, I never got into that movie, but
No, not at all. But again, these people have elevated this Siren Head into something that's out, in the woods somewhere, and it walks around. It's got a big old friggin' siren instead of a head, and it makes this noise.
Oh
So
my
oh my
gosh.
God,
people
I
have
would
said
die
they've
laughing
seen
if
that
I
too.
saw that. So, yeah, just the fact that we love to be scared. We
I think
love,
so.
we love, it must be an endorphin thing, a shock thing, a shock value thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, I used to love slasher, all of that stuff growing up. We went to
Oh heck yeah.
everything. And then after a while, I'm like, give me something psychological because this stuff, it's the same old thing. Someone's screaming, running
Yeah.
away, they fall, then they get killed. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
the psychological stuff gets me more. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this whole topic. I don't know. I have
And I
seen,
think
I have friends that swear they've run up across these things, that they said that
Oh.
there was something so wrong with this young kid, not like a child, but a kid, that
Mhm.
I'm wondering if their radar's pinging on some kind of weird psychological thing going
sure.
on.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And they would be the easiest things to replicate. And I'm not, look at AI. The first thing they started doing was kids, right? They started, in the Orient, in Asia, and those kind of places, Japan, China, Taiwan. They started doing AI, and they started, and I think it was females, female type stuff. They all had that Siri voice. And the
Mm.
ones that I've seen that are actually, I mean, they have some friggin' robots, or they say they do, and they've all been friggin' kids and women. So I don't know. I don't know. No.
I don't know. For those of you that have watched this, what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments. Even if you're rewatching this later, I'd love to go back and read your comments because I'm still on the fence about this one. I just don't know if it's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And if you run into black-eyed kids, tell us your story. Tell us what you've seen and what you've experienced and how they made you feel. Because, like I said, you know, you want to go help these kids, right? That's what we want to do. That's what we're programmed to do. I'm going to say 98% of grown adults are going to say, yeah, you know what? Let me go out of my way to help you out. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Whatever is to comfort. And I think they nailed it when they did that. I think whatever entity or force or world or planet that they're coming from, or extraterrestrial, whatever they're coming from, they nailed that aspect. They just could not get them to
They're not
flow.
human. If they were created, they're not human, and our radar is enough to pick that up. That's like people who picked up. They said that the lizard people are living among us. That they're just enough off. They're just enough off that you're like,
exactly.
That's not a real person.
And well, and there's again we've all seen the videos of so and so glitching or blinking the snake eyes or whatever, the lizard eyes and whatever. And now the bad thing about it is, back in the 90s, heck yeah, you could have maybe believed this. But now there's so many AI things and there's so many things that, people are so talented to do.
I'll tell you how good AI is. And I watched because you do all of the ghosty things and all that all day long, but I'm listening to like true crime and to like Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs.
Yeah.
He just put out, it was I think 2 months ago about ish. I was watching a show with him. He was being interviewed and he says, this is how clever they are now. He goes, they have me and they have my voice and they're showing an ad that I'm going to send them those fancy coolers that are so expensive. Like
Yeti or whatever.
Yetis that I'm going to, and this company is going to send them a Yeti if they just do this survey. And he goes, it's not me. They've completely cloned me. And he's suing them. And he goes, as fast as we get them to take this ad off, they make a new one and put it up. And he goes, it's not me. But they've taken bits and pieces of all of my shows and cloned me. And he goes, all they're doing is harvesting your information. So you fill out all your information for this cooler, and now they've got you in a database, and then they sell it to everybody.
Yeah.
And he said, it's not me. And even this went through President Trump. There was a video of him allegedly throwing something out of the second story of the White House. Throwing a fit, right? The windows on the White House are bulletproof. They don't open. None of the windows open.
But it goes back to groupthink.
And they're blast proof. And he goes, it's not me. He goes, it's like.
But people don't know that.
And they buy
people
this
don't
stuff.
know that. Hell yeah, they do.
Now you're like, did they really say it? When I see something now, I'm like, really? Is this real? Because I don't know what's real anymore. That to me, that's more scary than anything.
But it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. They can actually, as long as they get some of your character, your voice characteristics, and they can reproduce us all. It's no big deal. They talk about that kind of goes to that facial recognition, right? That Facebook uses. And that's a huge thing. They also talk about when you are, and I've heard this, I haven't heard it for a while, but when you have a passcode that comes up and it says, identify the stoplight in all of these pictures. And that helps AI determine a little bit better on their thought process of what a stoplight looks like.
Okay, are
So
you the kind of person that freaks out if there's one tiny little notch of that light in one of those squares? And then I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, do I
Do,
click that?
do I
Or do I
pick
just
it?
because that one little green metal edge is right there in that
Yeah.
square. And
Right?
then you have a panic attack. You're like, is this part of the light? What do they
It's
want?
technically there,
Oh my God.
but just give me
My
another one.
anxiety goes through the roof on that shit.
now, if it gets that far, either I don't need to be there or there's something on TV I can go watch because I don't need to be there.
Oh my
I know what
God.
a stop sign looks like. I know what a
It's
crosswalk
that
looks
metal
like. I
edge
know.
hanging off in that other square,
That's
man.
right.
It's part
So
of the
do you pick
light.
it? Do you pick that square?
All right.
It's
Thanks
a
for
lot of
hanging with
pressure.
us tonight. Oh my God. Yeah, we should hopefully have the full crew back next week. People are dropping like flies with being
Yeah,
ill
they
around
are.
here. So yeah, but hopefully we'll be all together next week. And thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
We appreciate you so much.
Night
Make sure to
all.
subscribe. Also,
Good night, guys.
head over to our new YouTube channel. It's called Cringeworthy Crime. It's our show called Creme de la Cringe, but it's at Cringeworthy Crime on YouTube. And we dropped a new episode tonight on a true crime case from 1888. That was pretty interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.